Well, what do we have here? Kevin Holland has just pulled off a royal bamboozling for the ages. He has unretired and he is now fighting Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the main event of UFC Fight Night Orlando. He has tricked the MMA community. He has tricked the UFC. And this might be the most effective retirement we have ever seen in the sport of MMA or in combat sports in general. Because we see a lot of these weird retirements, but this one, it gave him what he wanted within 2 days of retiring, pretty much. Like, we reacted to him retiring, maybe a couple of days ago. He said he was going to retire from the sport, and I was like, maybe he's just being a little bit emotional. You know what I mean? Maybe he's being a bit emotional because, he lost so badly, and maybe he feels like, you know what, I've made some good money. I don't feel like I can ever beat a guy with the wrestling of Chimaev. I don't think I'm ever going to be a world champion, so I might as well not even risk the damage that I may take. So I was thinking, you know what? I think he's being a bit emotional. Give him a week or so, he'll come around. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, well, he's just doubled down. Okay? But I kind of noticed the way he was talking about it was in like a jokey fashion. I just made this video yesterday or the day before. The way he was talking about the retirement was in like a jokey, haha, goofy fashion. And I was thinking, okay, he might be serious about this, but I'm not sure. Okay? I feel like there's a little bit of a joke going on here. And all of a sudden, and by the way, this must have been for the fight to be already done. Okay? It's not in the works. It's done. Posted by the UFC Instagram page. Not MMA Island got there first. Full Violence got there first. This was posted by the UFC Instagram page themselves a long time ago. Well, I say a long time ago. By the time I'm recording this video, it was, I think, about 6 or 7 hours ago. So this wasn't like a fight in the works. Like they're discussing this matchup, verbally agreed. This is set and done. So in my mind, that tells me 6 hours ago this was done. That tells me this was in the works when Kevin Holland... you absolute... He's got us. He's absolutely bamboozled us to the highest of degrees. This was in the works upon him announcing retirement. Ah, Kevin Holland. A classic meme there from Kevin Holland. Wonderful job, sir. I have to commend him for it. This was in the works when he announced his retirement. It was likely done and finalized when he announced and doubled down on his retirement. And he just knew the whole time. And this is how you generate interest for a bout. So, congratulations, Kevin Holland. I hope more fighters don't start doing these like fake retirements or anything like that. But it's massively worked for Kevin Holland's brand. It's right on par with Kevin Holland and who he is. He's a bit of a joker. And this is great. So there we go. Good stuff. And it's also a quick turnaround, which I like. I knew Kevin Holland said he wanted to fight in December, but I was thinking maybe after the Chimaev fight, he's going to want to take a little bit of time off. He got paid quite a large amount of money. But this is a great matchup. And I'll talk about my prediction for the matchup. I also want to talk about some other things as well. It's a great matchup for both of these guys. Let's be real. A really good matchup for both of them. I'm leaning towards Kevin Holland, and I'll tell you why in a second, but the UFC is not fair. I want to mention that before I get into the prediction. The UFC is not a fair company. Mikel Pereira is so much more deserving of a Wonderboy fight. Maybe they're going to save him for the January card in Brazil, and Wonderboy didn't want to wait until after Christmas. He wanted to fight before the end of the year. Maybe that's what's going on. But there are way more deserving contenders for ranked opponents than Kevin Holland. But because Kevin Holland did a favor by stepping in and taking a big paycheck and helping out the UFC, like, I guess he just gets this reward. And if this goes to show anything, you see a lot of this talk about fighter pay in the UFC and how badly the athletes are treated. I'm telling you, you play ball with the UFC, how many more times do we have to learn this? You say yes and play ball with the UFC and be the company man, you will get massive reward for it. And that's like that in any workplace, really. But in the UFC, it's like on the main stage. So we see it. No one else sees, like, you sucking up to your boss at your workplace and you getting rewarded because of it. But because it's the UFC and it's seen by millions around the world, we see it right in front of our eyes. People talk about the Chandler privilege, you know what I mean? Dana White privilege and all that. Kevin Holland, all you have to do is be nice to the boss, and it seems to really work. Now, I'm not telling every UFC fighter to be nice to the boss, but what I am saying is, save the day when you can. Be an active fighter. Because if there's one thing this tells me about how the UFC feel about Kevin Holland, and there's one thing that Kevin Holland should take from this as well, going into his next contract renegotiation, they really want him around. And that's big to know. If the UFC didn't care about Kevin Holland as a name and didn't care about him as a fighter, why do they care to give him the Wonderboy matchup? Why do they care to go, oh no, don't retire, here's Wonderboy? Why do they care to frantically make this matchup to keep Kevin Holland in the UFC? So for Kevin Holland, you know, this is a great sign for him. Like, oh, this company really wants me around. I can use that in my negotiation, or I can have a much more confident negotiation process with my new contract if I ever do get one. And I feel as though this is a great matchup for him as well. And I also feel, let's get into the prediction, I think he's going to win. I think he's going to beat Wonderboy. There is a wildness of a striker. I will take you back. I don't know when it was, but I'm going to check it right now. I will take you back to a time. Stephen Thompson. And we go back in his career. Versus Anthony Pettis. March 2019. UFC Fight Night 148. I predicted Pettis to beat Wonderboy by KO in the second round. That was my prediction. And it happened. I didn't just do that for no reason. Okay? There is a wildness in a striking ability that I believe if Pettis can pull off, that Kevin Holland can also pull off on Stephen Thompson. There's one thing you've got to consider when going into this matchup. Stephen Thompson is a lot older than Kevin Holland. He's been out for a very long time. He will have been very inactive by the time this fight happens. Holland took no damage against Khamzat Chimaev. He's been very active this year. Wonderboy's 39 years of age. In February, he's going to be 40 years of age. And you think about that as an age, like, Kevin Holland can grapple offensively. We've seen Kevin Holland grapple offensively. We've seen Kevin Holland mid-air reverse takedowns off Thiago Santos and end up on top and land elbows and crank for Kimuras. This guy has got a ground game. I know it's Charlie Ontiveros, but a similar style to Wonderboy in the way that they strike. But it is obviously Charlie Ontiveros, who's not the best. I get it. Give me the takedown, slam you to the ground. I know he got injured, but still, give me the takedown, I'll slam you to the ground. If he's not liking the way things are going on the feet, he will opt for a takedown. But if he's liking the way things are going on the feet, he won't. My assumption is he won't like the way things are going on the feet for the majority, but I do not see Stephen Thompson finishing Kevin Holland in this fight. And that's a big deal in a 5-rounder with Kevin Holland, who knows, leading into this one, this isn't like, oh, I'll just take it for fun. Stephen Thompson is up the rankings. So if Kevin Holland wins this, by the way, he has a win over Jeff Neal on the regional scene. So that's some leverage in the welterweight division right now, because Jeff Neal just beat Luke Kay as an underdog, who I picked, by the way, to win. So if he beats Stephen Thompson, Kevin Holland's number 8 in the world, number 7 in the world, looking for a guy just sliding outside the rankings. And he's also a massive name after a main event win over Stephen Thompson. If he can KO Stephen Thompson in this fight, because he can, as much as people are going to say, Wonderboy is just a different level of striker, if Woodley can catch Thompson and drop him, if Till can catch Thompson and drop him, you know what I mean? If there's other people that can land on Thompson frequently in his fights, Holland can land, and Holland is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage over Stephen Thompson here. And the way Holland throws, he throws like he has that much of a reach advantage. You know what I mean? Everything he lands is like the opponent didn't expect it to land. You know what I mean? Like the opponent thought they were safe, and they've been dinked and they're down. You know what I mean? I feel as though Kevin Holland is going to catch Stephen Thompson here. Stephen Thompson hasn't fought since last year. It's been an entire year since he's been in a cage. I can see Kevin Holland doing a bit of grappling offensive against the cage, stomping the foot, kneeing the thigh, punching a little bit, playing on the feet a little bit as well. I just do not see Wonderboy landing big kicks. That's something I don't see him landing. And when you take away the ability for Wonderboy to land his kicks, because Pettis was able to outkick Wonderboy. A lot of people see the side kick from Wonderboy in that Pettis fight, but what you'll notice is that Pettis was chewing up his legs and going full Muay Thai on him in that matchup, pushing him back, going full Muay Thai. If you can take away the kicks of Wonderboy, your chances of being finished are drastically lower. Holland has got a solid chin, okay? Wonderboy's getting older. I don't see him finishing Holland, and if you're in a 5-rounder with Holland, you're not going to get clipped once. You're not going to get clipped once. Everyone gets clipped by Holland. You know what I mean? Even if he loses, like, he'll clip Vettori, the granite-chinned man himself, the centurion with a granite-chin Marvin Vettori. But, like, then obviously the takedown will stop him from ever being able to build on that momentum. But with Wonderboy, you're stuck on the feet with Kevin Holland for 5 rounds, and I don't see you finishing him. And you could be taken down. You could be taken down by Kevin Holland. You might get back up, but it's going to be a factor in this fight if Holland begins to lose and his coaches tell him, you got to start working in some grappling. We ain't letting this opportunity slip. Holland knows his whole career can be made off of this one moment, and everything about the Chimaev fight can be removed. I feel as though Holland's going to clip him, and I feel as though he's going to be a slight underdog as well. I'm just going to check who people are picking in this matchup as well. 58% Holland. So pay attention. 58% of people are picking Kevin Holland to beat Stephen Thompson. So I'm just saying, pay attention to those odds, because arguably they should have Wonderboy as the favourite. But I reckon Holland's is going to be a nice, smooth underdog pick against Stephen Thompson here in a great matchup for himself. Man, I'm back on track. And you know what I love about this? A great event at the end of the year. UFC Orlando. I love this, man. We need more of these types of fight nights. I'm telling you this right now. Big pay-per-views, whatever. You really don't know how a pay-per-view is going to be received until it's done. I feel as though big fight night cards carry this sport. Big pay-per-views get the sport paid. I completely get it. You need big pay-per-views, but there's always going to be big pay-per-views. Big fight night cards, and this is what I love about slowly getting back into the whole crowded events thing, and one thing that I hate about the Apex, Dern versus Yan Xiaonan card doesn't sell out an arena. So the UFC, that's why they put it in the Apex. That's why they have the Apex. So they don't have to rush and panic and have to fill out an arena for good, like, media coverage. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that they have the Apex is like an excuse. Like, oh, well, we just put them in the Apex. It was a great card, right? Because everyone got finishes. But, like, it's the build-up that I love about the sport. And I'm so glad. Imagine the matchups we can get if Kevin Holland wins this one. Maybe Luke K bounces back. We get a Luke K versus Kevin Holland matchup. It's not far-fetched to say that Luke K will bounce back against one of these upcoming opponents. Really looking forward to it. A Jeff Neal rematch. You know what I'm saying? A Burns Masvidal winner matchup, because I doubt they're going to have done enough to get themselves a title shot or a top contender. I love all of these matchups. I really do. So I'm looking forward to it. Good stuff. Really looking forward to what's going on in the division. And look at that card. Stephen Thompson, Kevin Holland, main event. Co-main event, Derek Brunson, Jack Hermansson. That's what a card should be. That is what a card should be. Look at that card. Thompson, Holland, Brunson, Hermansson. And then add on top of that, you got Guida on the card versus Holtzman. You've got Cortez versus Ribas. You know what I mean? You'll enjoy it for different reasons if you want. Nicolau versus Schnell is a good matchup. People are really behind Schnell right now. I love this card. I really do. Michael Johnson's on the card against Mark Jacasey. Hopefully Jacasey don't grapple him to death. Darren Elkins, Jonathan Pierce. Jonathan Pierce, I think he's on something like a 4-fight win streak in the UFC right now. So I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to these upcoming fights. And also Yasmin Jauregui is on the card, an upcoming female prospect. So really looking forward to UFC Orlando. Ending the year with a bang. Well done, Kevin Holland. Poor Mikel Pereira. He's arguably earned this more than you. But, like, he didn't fake a retirement. So, you get it. Like and subscribe. Toodle Pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.